1 week ago, I issued an urgent statement with this video to go out to help people understand what's going on in America. And today, I want to look back primarily and a little ahead, but the focus is really on Donald Trump. And it's really a tribute to Donald Trump. You know, when the events of the recent weeks have been swirling around us, there's been a lot of attacking and continued attacking of Donald Trump, which began when he came down, over 4 years ago, and the media and politicians and others have been relentless. After some of the events recently, Nancy Pelosi labeled him deranged. I was amazed at that. And then we heard that he was a leader of domestic terrorists. And then we saw a broadcaster on mainstream television say that as Nixon's legacy was tarnished, well, Trump's will be worse. And that is a falsehood, because Richard Nixon was convicted of felony. And when you look at what happened with him, I mean, they had it all on tape. And he's saying, you know, we can get 1 million to silence them. Donald Trump had what lawyers will call exculpatory evidence. He talked about peaceful and patriotic, walking down to the Capitol. And so we realize these charges and the indictment that this is what they said, inciting an insurrection, has been really off the charts. But Donald Trump has once again been hammered. You know, when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive, he said, in the end, we will remember, do you remember the statement? In the end, we'll remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. It's easy to fish and cut bait, and when somebody's in the crosshairs, to cut bait and say, let's get out of here. I don't want to be tarred and feathered. The Bible says, though, in Proverbs, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. When Richard Nixon went through Watergate, Billy Graham was asked a question about it, and he said, he's still my friend. He said, I still meet with him, and I pray with him. And I mean, I looked at that and I thought, that's loyalty. And loyalty is only tested when? In adversity. So what I'd like to do is, I would like to honor and pay tribute to President Donald Trump. And I wrote down, literally, what are some of the achievements for which he should be honored? Well, I'd say number one, reviving the sluggish Obama and Biden economy. When you look at it, you know, the strongest economy in 70 years and the lowest unemployment in 50 years. We honor him. Another achievement was this. What? Operation Warp Speed. Unprecedented in history to come up with the vaccine. And he led the way in one of the most unbelievable periods of America history with COVID-19. Number three, I thought, how about this? Containing Iran and North Korea. No new wars under him, removing troops, and meeting with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. And things were at peace during his administration. Number four is, how about this? Confronting China threats. He did it in a responsible and measured way, and he held them accountable through the financial realm. That was President Trump. Number five, he broadened United States power in the Middle East. Think about it. The alliances and the work that he did, things that were unprecedented that the media ignored, but he brought together Middle East countries. And then, not only that, he strengthened our number one ally, Israel. Moved the embassy right there to Jerusalem. All these other presidents always said they do it. He was bold, and he did it. How about this one? Number 7. I wrote down he added 3 traditionalists to the Supreme Court. Not those that are saying the Constitution is a breathing document and we need to change things along the way. He stood strong, and he also appointed federal judges, 230. You can research it. That's going to influence our country for decades and generations to come. Also, President Trump stood for the sanctity of human life, the dismemberment, the extermination of little babies, 61 million. Unbelievable in America's history. But he stood strong. He spoke at the March for Life. I'll tell you, he was bold. He met in the Oval Office and he spoke about God. And I remember the late departed friend of mine, Harry Jackson. I remember watching on TV where Harry was praying and reading the Bible, and the president talked at Easter time about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He boldly declared it, unashamedly. How about this? He curbed illegal immigration. You know, Washington put under military-like control, almost walls going up everywhere in the past number of days. And all the, the liberals and lefts are saying, we got to get these walls up. We got to militarize things. Well, they're the very ones that told us walls don't work. But the president held back immigration, and he built over 500 miles of a wall that he promised. And that was with very vocal and adamant opposition. How about this? I wrote down, he also had record stock market gains. If you have a 401k or any investments, all of that came to his credit, and he did it. Then he also had, listen to this, passed tax relief, tax cuts of thousands of dollars, and then also he doubled the standard if you were a couple to save you, what, $24,000, tax-free. That was him and his business acumen. I wrote down that he also, he passed deregulations. And as a result, we had energy independence. First time in our America's history. Think about that when you get gasoline. He released everything in terms of the pipeline where people were saying, oh, Green New Deal and all the rest of that. Also, he gave fair trade agreements and NATO payments were required. He put that down, said, why are we paying and they're getting off the hook? How about millions of dollars? No other president ever did this to the historic black colleges. He stood strong. With the economy, we saw minorities and women in new places of prosperity because of his leadership. Also, I'd say this, he rebuilt the military, which was in disarray. And also he made sure that veterans had top priority and treatment. Now you could go on. I just wrote down law and order, respect for police. Recently, the Portland mayor admitted that Donald Trump was right when he was saying about having the National Guard and protecting the city. When the Democrat mayors in these cities let things run wild, vandalism and terrorist activity and burning of businesses but Donald Trump stood strong and the police stood with him in the election. I would say also stopping sex trafficking. How about his initiatives in terms of adoption? My son's adopted 3 children, the benefits that you accrued as a result of that. And how about this? School choice, where people say, no, we don't want to give a choice. He wanted to make sure education opportunities were afforded to the multitudes. I would say also, he moved in a way to protect religious freedom. Do you remember when he worked to release prisoners that were being held? He stood strong. He didn't just say, well, we need to think about it like other presidents. And then I would say this, he stood strong in terms of No Equality Act. Now that's something that Biden has said one of his first things he's going to do, and that is going to undermine the conscience and religious freedom of churches and ministries and schools. I could go on, but the Bible says give honor to whom honor is due. And I'd encourage you can go on the internet and you can see the White House lists of accomplishments and achievements. So that's looking back, and that's where we honor our president. But then now, how about looking ahead? You look ahead and you say, well, what does it mean? Well, I would say this. You know what? In my room, I have 2 caps that are there. I see. One is this. I love Jesus. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and the one to whom I pay all my honor and tribute and obey. And I don't confuse the two with the other cap that said, Make America Great. Make America, somebody gave me this cap because our president, that's why he ran. And you know, when you look at it, I was in New York over 4 years ago with about 1,000 leaders. I remember Franklin Graham was on the left, and I remember Dr. James Dobson, and all of us as leaders, we wanted to check out this man that was going to run. And he said that for years he was so burdened about the decline in America, and he thought it can't continue. And he said, as he was thinking, he was sitting, and Melania came in the room, and she said, you ought to run for president. And he said, that was the confirmation that he should go ahead. And boy, did he pay a price. So now he's mocked, he's degraded. People say he's the worst president. That's not true. And we need to, in going forward, pray for him. I believe that this man has a future. And he has a spiritual advisory team with James Robeson and other leaders that have met with him and prayed with him. And I believe we need to continue to pray. I don't know what the future will hold. You say, well, he didn't concede. Well, he couldn't in good conscience because of what he believed was fraudulent practices, you know, along with how many others of 74 million Americans. And then also you say, well, he didn't even attend, to my knowledge, the inauguration. Well, 2 other presidents haven't attended. But this is a man that we need to say, God, thank you for providing Donald Trump. He paid a price and he needs our prayers. And right now we can look back and honor him. And then we can look ahead and say, God, guide him on the right path as he walks into the future.